So verbal resume, do you want me to go through the entire thing or just kind of where I'm at right now?
Just more recently with sales and where you're at now.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, I'll give you the brief overview. Is I've been in a business-to-business or a B2B role for the majority of my professional career, which has been the last 12 plus years. Directly in B2B for 7 to 8 of those. Most currently, I'm working with the University of Phoenix, as I'm sure you can see from the resume or have seen from the resume. And predominantly within that role, the B2B side of it is really a relational sales aspect as opposed to just a transactional sales, I would say transactional sales environment. So the premise of my job is really based upon being able to build sustainable, strong relationships with my clientele to gain obviously their trust and their respect, and then obviously bringing solid solutions to the table for them to implement within their organization.
Okay.
Yeah. I think what intrigues me about this position most, I'll be very honest with you, there's a strong component of it that is monetary, and I'm very upfront about that. I'm at a position in my career where I'm really looking to move into a point where I can provide a very healthy living for my family. That's the most important thing to me. So obviously looking for that next transition beyond what I'm doing now, from a monetary standpoint. But also what intrigues me is I have a slight history of understanding the quality of Traeger. I was exposed to it, I don't know, several years ago through a friend, and simply just fell in love with obviously what the product does. So I was just kind of drawn to it from really an introspective standpoint and curiosity for the most part.
Okay. Good, man. No, it's really good. There's only 2 reasons why people come over to this industry: for the money and for the lifestyle. That's it. And,
okay.
So, hold on one sec, sorry. This is important, sorry.
That's all good.
And so I like the money motivation factor that you've brought up. It's hard to sell a product that you don't like or love, and it's really nice to know that you can put your head to rest at night knowing that you're selling something to people that they're going to enjoy for the next 20, 30 years. And
right.
But here's the other thing, though, the other catch to this as well, is that this is not a sexy industry, Jerome. And that's been a pretty big weighing factor on certain people, depending on where they're coming from. And it was for me. I'm going to be honest with you. I remember when I got into this industry, I came from a very, very sexy industry. Fancy hotels, wine and dined, platinum diamond status on Delta, first class everywhere I went, And then I came to this industry, and it was brutal. I didn't understand why the company wouldn't pay for this hotel or that flight or this or that, and I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, you could say, and I just had to realize this is just a different industry. Sorry, it's just different. And I remember sitting on my first flight to Michigan, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I remember saying to myself, "Oh dear Lord, I pray they never place me in a Costco in Salt Lake City, Utah, where all my friends who are doctors, lawyers, dentists, attorneys, and the like, they're going to walk in, they're going to see me standing next to this piece of metal. The guy's going to turn to his wife, and he's going to say, 'Oh my gosh, Cromar didn't make it.'" And then I had to have another quick conversation with myself, and it went something along the lines of this: "No, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a dentist, but I'm one of the world's damned finest salesmen, and if any of them ever walk anywhere near my booth, they will be going home with a product that they weren't planning on buying that day." And that was a game changer for me. But, okay. I've had my share, honestly, of pharmaceutical reps, the perfect salesmen and women in the industry. And And I've had them sit right in front of me, and basically, in a nutshell, it's almost every time. You know what, Rick? Even though I'd be making about half of what I could make over with your company, I just couldn't imagine sitting across from my date, having her ask what I do, and telling her that I sell grills at Costco. Just couldn't do it. And I've lost candidates over the craziest stuff. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is a $150,000 a year job, and that's what's stopping you? Good luck, So let's dive back into this. This is a one call close setting, and you've only got about 12 to 20 minutes realistically to spend with each person that you engage with and close them on a $300 to $1,200 product that they were not planning on buying that day. And that's the key thing here. What makes you feel like you'd be good at that? And so before you answer this, okay, this is not relationship sales at all. This is even more than a transactional sale. This is what we would call volume sales. And we move product like you wouldn't believe. And so there's some things that we will teach you over here that will go against everything you've learned your whole life about sales. But what makes you feel like you'd be good at that type of a sale?
It's a great question, because really the majority of what I've done is strong relational. So I've relied heavily on my ability to build a strong rapport with people, gain their trust, gain their insight, and then bring back, very solid solutions to them. So now switching from that into a more tangible setting like you're talking about, where someone's coming up and approaching me and I'm having that 12 to 20 minutes, I think what would make me great at that is two things. Number one, when I'm in a setting in front of a client, I'll be damned if I'm not the smartest person in there. And I don't say that cocky, I just say that with a lot of confidence. I go in very prepared to understand what I'm there for. So I have a specific purpose. If I'm at Costco and I have a Traeger grill, and my purpose is to sell that grill, you best believe I will know everything about that grill inside and out, why it would appeal to the customer, and why they should not leave that booth or that setting without buying one, what it's going to do to enhance their life, the features, the advantages, the benefits of it, and be able to put that in a very concise way, because I feel like I'm a very effective communicator to the point where they would have no reason not to buy it. And that's usually what I end a lot of my calls with. Tell me why there's a reason not to move forward with this. At this point, what is your reasoning for not moving forward? Or is there a reason that we shouldn't move forward with that?
Okay. Now, you said something that I normally bring up a little bit later, and I think I still will. I'm going to jot this down so I don't forget about it. And we'll touch upon this in just a minute. You brought up the fact, somebody coming up to you. In fact, I'm just going to do it right now. Okay. This is one of the biggest reasons why people fail in this industry. And a lot of this interview is going to come across like, you're going to be like, does this guy want me to work for this company or not? I want you. In fact, you've got obviously a very, very great skill set. Communication's huge here. And, you're a picture perfect salesman for this position, but you're going to have to understand that if this is the type of money that you want, we do things differently, and there are going to be some things that will be very, very hard for you to transition to. Not saying that you can't, because you can.
Right.
I was very much a relationship salesman guy too, but had to learn very, very quickly how much I wanted this, and obviously I'm here. But one of the biggest reasons why people fail in this industry, Jerome, is because too many salesmen think sales is sales. Sales is sales. Sales is sales. Just throw me anywhere. And there's really three different types of salespeople out there. First, you have your sales initiators. They're the go-getters, full of life, ambition, drive, tenacious. They'll meet and greet and stop and talk to everybody. Then you've got your cold callers, right? Those are our guys and gals out there willing to dial for those dollars in a B2B situation, like you said, great at getting past those gatekeepers, the door knockers of the world. And then, of course, we have our sales closers, right? Deserving of everything in life, right? Been told our whole lives we can, quote unquote, sell ice to Eskimos, right?
Yeah.
But closers that are just closers. These guys and gals. I've gotten to a point in my life where you just place the deal in front of me and I'll close it. those guys. They will generally run as far and fast away from having to cold call as humanly possible. And here at Traeger, Jerome, you've got to be all three. And if you're not all three of those, you will not make it. There's no way around it. There's no warming up to it. Well, it's been a few years since I've cold called. I didn't really like it, but I'm sure I could warm back up. No, not at all. You can't kid yourself. And every salesman and woman out there knows very well whether they are all three or not. And you know very well whether you are truly all three or not. So when I say the words like cold calling, right, or when you're looking at a job description and it says, make 150 cold calls a day, and you're like, when hell freezes over, right, next, I promise you won't make it here. When I say the words hardcore close, if that makes you cringe, even just a little bit, you won't make it over here. And I've seen some of the best sales closers come over here from their respective industries, and Costco literally eats them up and spits them out 4 or 5 hours in every single time. And then the question is, well, why? Why? It couldn't be that bad, right? I mean, it's Costco, for heaven's sakes. You got people walking around with American Express cards, or they paid for a membership to be there, so they got to have some type of money. It's got to be decent, right? Well, right. Let me just put it this way, because of the nature of the sale. So imagine here with me, you're standing there at the end of an aisle at Costco. You've got all those Costco members walking back and forth past you. The majority of this position, okay, I'm going to say 80+% of this position, Jerome, is you stopping those Costco members dead in their tracks. You stopping them, not them coming up to you. Well, tell me about this. I think I saw you guys here about 3 months ago. This is interesting. Tell me about it, right? Those days, the days where the new product rolls into town and everybody gets excited and wants to hear about it, are gone. That ended about 6 years ago. And so, you kind of made mention earlier, somebody's going to come up to me and ask me about, no. And that's one of the biggest single-hand most reason why people fail in this industry is because they're not all three. They're either a sales closer or a sales initiator and a sales closer, or a cold caller, but they're not a closer, right? And you've got to be all three. And, and then the second reason why these guys fail, more along that line though, is remember I told you closers that are just closers will run from cold calling. Well, yeah, you're not dialing for dollars by any means, okay? But this is the purest form of cold calling in a live and real setting that you're ever going to get thrown into. I mean, think about it.
Absolutely.
Stopping those Costco members dead aisle as they're coming up. I mean, that takes some, that takes a special sales cat to do that job. And so that's to these supposed closers, to them, that feeling that comes from stopping these people is no different than the feeling they get when they're dialing for dollars. They hate that feeling. Click, 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 right? So that's the second reason why they fail, is because you're going to hear more no's in just 4 or 5 little hours trying to stop these Costco members dead aisle than most closers experience in an entire month or two, depending on where they're coming from. And so they can't wrap their heads around, why are all these people telling me no? I mean, I got like a 70% closing ratio where I came from, you know what I mean? I got plaques, I made money, right. I've got a name for myself out there. What the hell is this? What is this? And then they fail. When really, all it is, honestly, all it is, and for the people that get this, you'll make more money than you could ever imagine. It's just the nature of the industry. Filtering through all those no's to get to those yeses, all this is. That's honestly all this is. But if you're visualizing what I'm talking about here, it takes a special salesperson to do that. Okay?
Absolutely.
Now let's talk about what it's not. Sometimes people tend to picture a guy or gal with a microphone on their head, putting on a presentation, answering questions, closing deals, maybe cooking something on the grill, putting on another presentation, right? That's not what this is. Okay?
Okay.
Now, What I'm going to talk about right now is especially